So Ehe Dogen, he is actually the founder of our Soto school, and he lived from 1200 to 1253, and he wrote many fascicles, or many you would say viewpoints of Zazen, and that's in this collection of writings called the Shobogenzo. And show means truth. Show is like gravity, so it's a law that cannot be disputed. Like the gravity of the earth, it's a law that cannot be disputed. So it's the truth, and it's something that show is something that's wordless, and it cannot be it cannot be named. So it's before the instant. So it's inconceivable. The show is inconceivable. So it's the truth, and then Hogen. So Ho is Dharma, and Gen is I, and Ho is Dharma, but Gen refers to the faculties, how we see the world. But Ho or this something that cannot be named is before the thinking mind can catch it. So it's prior to all things. So it's you would say it's the source of all things that cannot be named. So it's something that's wordless, but it can be realized, and it can be manifested through direct experience. So this is very important, through direct experience. So that's why they say the faculties, but it's not the I, which is the ego, but it's the I that sees. But it's not the seeing, me seeing, but it's the I that sees. It's the seeing that sees. So it's the direct experience. So Shobo Genzo is the treasury of the true Dharma I. And this treasury is, these words in this treasury is actually the posture of just sitting, upright. So so that's the Shobogenzo of what he wrote. So I'm gonna talk about one of the fascicles, and I'm just gonna talk about the first half paragraph of this fascicle. So it's called Kai in Zan Mai. So Kai means see, and also the translation of the Sanskrit word means actually mudra. So the mudras is what we hold when we sit zazen. It's a seal or a stamp. So this mudra or the C is a seal or a stamp, and Zanmai, it's the Sanskrit word or phonetic representation of the word samadhi. Zanmai is. So Kayan Zanmai means samadhi as a state like the sea. This is just really beautiful. I was trying to, you understand it, like it's like zazen, you understand it, but then you say, oh, I got it, and then it kind of, so um, samadhi as a state like the sea. So these words that Dogen writes is describing what's happening in zazen, not what we're doing, but something is happening. So usually we come to meditation and then we do it. But when this doing, when this doing kind of the I, when this ego I starts to subside, then something is doing. It's interesting, and it's this wordlessness that is doing that we cannot name. This wordlessness or this something that is doing is the mutual interrelation of subject and objects, or all things, actually all phenomena, actually in the universe. So let me so I want to talk about the sea itself. And when I was walking home this morning, it was raining, and on the side of the road, there's, of course, all the water that goes into the ditches, off the road, and the water runs down. So it's returning. You would say it's returning to the ocean. So you have tributaries, you have rivers, you have streams that return to this very source of the sea, or this ocean. In the sea, there's plants and there's animals, there's algae, and also on the surface of the sea, then there's a sunlit surface. There's coastlines of the sea, there's great depths, and also there's uh, as you go deep into the sea, then it gets dark and it gets cold. So seas or oceans can be big, or they could be small, or they could be infinite in size, these seas. So interesting. Yesterday, also when walking home, raindrops could be falling seas in the sky. Um, seas are world within worlds. Seas can be seas within seas. A speck of dust could be a sea. Mountains can be seas. Universes infinitely can be seas. So this is inconceivably beyond actually our conscious mind. So it is unnameable. those who are Buddhas and patriarchs are always in samadhi, the state like the sea, swimming in this samadhi. They have times of expounding, times of realizing, and times of practicing. The virtue or or their uprightness of their moving over the surface of the sea includes movement along the very bottom of the sea. They move over the surface of the sea, knowing this to be movement along the bottom of the deepest ocean. To seek to make the uncertain currents of life and death return to their source is not to be moving along in the ineffable state of mind. While past instances of passing through barriers and breaking joints were, of course, individual instances of the Buddhas and patriarchs themselves, at the same time, each has governed by samadhi, the state like the sea. So this zazen then is the state like the sea, is taking this posture, this seated posture. So the zazen posture, um, we have the head, and we have also all the parts of the that create the zazen posture. So this can be also a metaphor to actually everything in the universe, from atoms to that camera, to that bell, to the alarm clock. All of it, all of the zazen posture has its parts. So we have our head, we have our eyes, we have our knees, and then we have our arms, our shoulders, all create this zazen posture, and its gravity. So this when you take the zazen posture and then this uprightness, we are being in accord with actually the harmony of the universe. So this uprightness, so it's very important to feel yourself upright. Okay, so that's why they say to sit upright is really important, to sit upright. So this is in accordance with now the universe and with the gravity of the universe and the earth. Of course, like the sea, the top of zazen, which is our head, there's a lot of thinking, and this is how we mostly live our life, in our head. But when we take the seated posture and when we experience, you have to experience it too. Feel yourself when you sit, the gravity of the thinking mind then goes down. Okay? It should go down into your belly area, and actually then you should feel the weight of your body on the cushion. Okay, but most of it's up here. We're sitting there and we're administering pros and cons. What type of computer am I going to buy at Best Buy? What am I going to eat today? Do I need to go shopping? So this is all up here, but when we feel the gravity, then we start to go down. So that's why it's really important. The posture of zazen is like a mountain that you go down, and then you feel yourself actually in the base, and then actually touching the earth. the surface of the sea, of course, it's it 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 becomes disturbed or agitated by wind or anything that's external. But its depth is very still when you go down. And 3 weeks ago, we we took our son to Hawaii, and it was for his spring break, and we stayed at next to this cove. It's called Shark's Cove in Hawaii, and we brought snorkel in masks, and off of Shark's Cove there was this little inlet that, it was only like the water was only that deep, and so we would swim in that water and you could see fish, and but then there was a lot of people because they were walking in the water, and then we're swimming, and in the Shark's Cove, then there was a off of that inlet was Shark's Cove, which goes really deep, and then they say that's where to swim around. But from the outside, when you look at the surface of it, it looked like the waves were big, and they would hit the coastline and the beach. So I was a little afraid to go in, because you might get swept by the wave or pushed into a rock. So we eventually got out of the small inlet that people could walk in, and then we got into Shark's Cove. And when you uh, when you're standing there, the waves are strong, so that they push you into the rock, But if jump, you jump on the wave, then you start to float. You start to float with the wave, and then you go down, you go under the water, and it's a whole different world there. It's very still and serene, and also you could see all different types of life. And we saw a huge turtle. We looked around, and then there was a big turtle there, and he was swimming. It was so beautiful. So the sea is that way. It's very uh you would say its depth is very subtle, and it's very profound that way, and it's a world within that. But the most of the time we're caught just looking at the surface of the sea. So we're caught with our agitation. Right now, probably we're caught about thinking what we're going to eat, you know, when we're going to go home, what we're going to do. So we're caught in these waves, but we may be caught for a minute, we may be caught for a day, it could be years, it could be this lifetime of actually incessant thinking that we are caught in on the surface. And this is actually the type of suffering that we are caught by. It's our greed, anger, and ignorance. So to go down, to um, the bottom, also the sea is the waves on top of the sea are the same as the bottom. So it's not distinguishing anymore that the top is different, but then it's all the same thing. Those who are Buddhas and patriarchs are always in samadhi, the state like the sea. So when we're sitting here, we're probably thinking, oh, those who are Buddhas and patriarchs, so it couldn't be me, because we're practicing and we're trying to become a Buddha or become something other than our than ourself. But it is the Buddhas and patriarchs, they sit zazen. So zazen is the Buddha sitting. This posture is actually Buddha sitting. So Buddhas and patriarchs are always in samadhi, the state like the sea, swimming in this samadhi. They have times of expounding, times of realizing, times of practicing. So these are these are these these are a Buddha's function, is to practice and to live in this way, is to have this deep aim in no matter actually what we do. To sit zazen is not merely a one-time realization. It is the vibrant attitude in all times. Because it is the living vision of each and every moment of time, it induces all the Buddhas and ancestors to practice. It induces them to listen to the teaching, and it induces them to carry out the fruit of their learning. All the Buddhas and ancestors actually refer to the very person who is practicing. It should not be taken to mean some vague person in general. If I am practicing, then I myself am all the Buddhas and ancestors. I don't mean to arrogantly assert here that I am the Buddha. Rather, to the extent that I am sitting zazen, zazen is Buddha. Because that is the zazen I am practicing, zazen is the embodiment of the Buddhas and ancestors. Moreover, not just the zazen being practiced, but all the activities in my day-to-day life must be embodied or manifest the most fundamental life force, that is the teaching, the practice, and the fruit of realization. So this the stamp is also, the stamp is the samadhi, but the stamp also is mudra, is a seal or a stamp. The Hokkaijoan is the cosmic mudra, and it's actually taking the left and the right, two dualities, and making one form. So actually then this is the Buddha's, it's the Buddha's mudra. It's not your mudra. It's not you doing the zazen, but actually it's Buddha's zazen. It's the universe's zazen. And this is really important. So to hold to hold your mudra is to hold the mind of the Buddha's mind and the Buddha's body. So this is an effort of this I, which creates everything and the universal, the universal. So when we have when we have our upright posture, then we are showing actually Buddha's mudra. Swimming in this samadhi, they have times of expounding, times of realizing, and times of practicing. The virtue of their moving over the surface of the sea, or the virtue um, is their uprightness, or it's our uprightness, how we then live our life, and we're not we are not dragged around by actually this and that. That's how we usually condition life, is usually dragged around this, and then we end up here. Our thought, conversations, everything end up here, they end up here, but there's no deep a depth to one's life if you're dragged around here and there, because it's all fabrication. It's all constructed from the mind that's it's all false. So we get dragged around here, we get dragged around there. But the sitting the zazen, then you come back actually to being grounded. And then you start to live your life from this, it's a gut level, but not here, you know, not like we cannot think think or anything, but then we have this grounded way of being, in which when we encounter uh, anything that comes in front of us, then we can meet it, but we're not up here. Yeah, their virtue, and or it's a basic goodness, or this uprightness, it's a purity of their moving over the surface of the sea. So it's how we deal with everyday life. It's a quality that we bring that's very important and very pure. It's the truth that we bring then to our life. Conventional life, it's the truth. Oh, like looking at the eclipse. Everyone's all trying to see the eclipse, and it's all like every 20 years it happens. The eclipse. The eclipse is happening every second of our life, and it will not happen again. And everyone's looking up to the sky to see the eclipse. We should be looking at our life, which it is the eclipse, but at the same time, it's our life right in front of us. It's being angry when we're at the when we're in traffic, or it's being with your kids, or it's eating, or it's walking, it's sitting, it's buying groceries at Target. It's all of it then it's a virtue. So it's how we move over the surface of the sea, includes movement along the very bottom. We're talking about zazen, the very bottom. Moving along the bottom of the deepest ocean. So this way of being, then it's all inclusive and it covers everything. It covers anger, it covers love, it covers everything, and that's why it's so great. Zazen is so great, but we must practice it. We must practice it to understand its depth. So practicing it is actually living your life. It's living your life very truly as a human, as a true human being, but not up here. What we think we are, but how we really are. There's a big difference. To seek to make the uncertain currents of life and death return to their source is not to be moving along the inexpressible state of mind. So again, I said it, it's different, the quality of how we live our life, and this is a way different type of being. This is beyond, now it's beyond Zazen. It's not, has to do nothing with Zen Buddhism, but it's universal truth. You should know that the total world of sitting is far different from all other total worlds. In penetrating the true nature of this difference, you discern and affirm the arising of the religious mind, the practice, enlightenment, and nirvana of the Buddhas and patriarchs. So now your life, or our life as a Buddha, it becomes ignited. Okay, and then you start to live actually a profound life in this way. So it's brushing your teeth can be profound, turning on your car, or when the car doesn't turn on when it's dead, that could be profound. I remember when I had a flight to go to China the next day, and I was in the parking lot. I turned on my car and it didn't turn on, and I was all like, this cannot be. And Tensan, a member, he walked by and I said, Chuck, my car won't start. And I said, this can't be true. He's all, it's true. So, and that's profound. Okay, so all parts of your life then, it's the sacred and profane, they come together. But when we go down to this depth and live this life in this way, then the religious life, and we expound, we express, we practice, right? And we realize this is important. Not practicing to become anything, but then it's a natural response to the self. Yeah. Let's see here. To sit in Zazen is to take a leap straight away, transcending the entire world and to find oneself within the exceedingly sublime quarters of the Buddhas and patriarchs. To sit in Zazen is to trample over the heads of all the devil heretics and become the person within the Buddhas and patriarchs' innermost precincts. This Dharma and this alone is the way to transcend the highest reaches of the Buddhas and patriarchs. It is for this reason that Buddhas and patriarchs practice it and never exert their efforts elsewhere. At the very time of your sitting, you should examine exhaustively whether the total world is vertical or horizontal. At that very time, what is the sitting itself? Is it wheeling about in perfect freedom? Is it like the spontaneous vigor of a leaping fish? Is it thinking or not thinking? Is it doing? Is it non-doing? Is it sitting within sitting? Is it sitting within body and mind? Or is it sitting that has cast off sitting within sitting? Sitting within body and mind and the like. You should examine exhaustively in this way thousands or tens of thousands of such details. So this means we should do it over and over. It should not be the body sitting it should be the body sitting cross-legged. It should be the mind sitting cross-legged. It should be body and mind cast off, sitting Zazen.